You sure I got my good. Sure I got my never fade shirt on. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You need, what is this? Oh yeah. Okay. Well, people could buy them.
Yeah, Carl Base is selling them.
Okay, you only need to advertise that.
Carl Base sucks at that.
Now the only thing is,
you don't want yours in pink writing.
No, it ain't that. It's just that you can't see what it say. Like it's very difficult to see pink on gray.
I thought with this very broad chest of mine, it wouldn't be such a difficulty.
No. Even with that pigeon chest, it's still difficult to see these letters on there. So that's my only thing I would change that so people will notice it.
So I have to share this, right?
Yeah, sure.
Let me mute it first, because clearly I don't know.
Oh, I cut it down, yeah. Yeah, leave and you can share it, and I'll find it and share it. I'll find it and share it too. You see my tiger, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just share it. So yeah, die-hard Robert supporters could come on and comment with everybody else.
I've not had so many people hate me in my life, though. Politics is new. I gotta say that.
Well, they come in.
It's interesting.
That's interesting that you ain't.
Somebody said that I was on the PLP's payroll.
Really?
I thought.
How much you getting paid?
I don't know. I wish they would tell me which account it was going to.
But apparently a lot of people are.
Hey, listen, I don't oppose getting paid, bruh. I gotta tell you that.
A lot of people are.
You mean to run?
Huh?
No. Paid to just call shows and
post,
create propaganda and
yeah.
Spread
y'all want to pay me to do that?
You're on the PLP's payroll now?
No, I'm saying this is what I've been told, that I was on the PLP's payroll, and I'm saying that if the PLP paying people to put a post on Facebook, sign me up. Where do you go to get it? If all I have to do is post stuff to Facebook for the PLP to write me a check, oh yeah, I'm game. Sign me up.
You will do that?
Absolutely.
Now?
To post to Facebook? Yes.
Yeah. But now the thing is...
You mean to not kill women and children? To not infect the world with Ebola or anything like that, just to put a post that are pro-PLP?
But it's what they have. You would post pro-PLP...
well, maybe not pro-PLP, but maybe very...
For payment?
Maybe very, very...
What you think they can pay you to post? What you think they paying you to post, buddy?
I don't know. I don't know if I could be an Anton. That's.
I want to talk to that fella so bad.
That is special.
I want to talk to him about.
Isn't that your friend?
Who?
Anton Thompson.
I see you want Mega run out on you. Mega don't like him, boy.
He coming on the show right now. Somebody calling him.
Listen, he don't like him.
Ta-da, don't try that.
I don't know what kind of cell phone they have, because have you called into a talk show?
Yeah, well, I maybe in my entire lifetime I may have called a talk show twice.
I gained new respect for chronic callers. That's why I don't hang up on them.
Yeah, tough.
Getting into a talk show is...
Yeah, it is.
It's like winning the lottery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's a skill. I think it's a special skill.
Yeah, it is. You have to have patience.
And not just that, you have to have the quickest redial.
Maybe they have a multitude of lines and multitude of phones, and they got Love 97 and then Guardian and Heart and Star, and then they're just boop, oh, you're live.
Mm-hmm. Like C. Allen. I think C. Allen has a cell phone jammer. Nobody can convince me. No, I'm telling you, no one can convince me that when C. Allen ready to call, he don't just click this big switch that is shut down everybody else. How does this dude... C. Allen gets through to about 4 talk shows a day. That's almost impossible.
Yeah.
How does he do it?
I don't know. All right.
So this the orientation where we're just sharing the post.
Yeah, just sharing it right now.
Letting people know what's happening before we actually start.
Yeah, I can start right now. I was just making sure I share it to 2 of the pages.
Yeah, this is commercial-less TV. It's interesting.
Yeah, the pre-show has been fun at times too. We had a real fun pre-show on Thursday.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Why?
I got gasoline in my eye today, so if my eyes are red, it's not because I support marijuana. It's because gas is in my eye.
Well, I think we both pro marijuana here, anyhow.
Yeah, I'm not.
So we ain't gonna judge you for that.
I'm not anti-marijuana. I'm just not pro-marijuana. I feel the same.
You indifferent.
I feel the same.
Let me say this for the record.
Ambivalent is the word I like to use.
We have children with autism and different epilepsy and things like that in Elizabeth, and I think we need to seriously stop playing around and explore medical marijuana for this country.
Here's the thing, though. I have this amazing idea that I see it working so harmoniously. Let's just, no joke, legit, start a sin tax, lump marijuana in the sin category, and
sin tax?
Yes, and just let people that want to do it pay for a permit, and that now changes it from being possession of an illegal drugs to possessing marijuana without a permit.
Right.
And no one goes to jail for it. You just pay hefty fines when we catch you without a permit that's valid. It would be the same thing as a shotgun.
I'm not religious.
It's great.
And I believe in separation of church and state.
Yeah,
So for you to define this SIN
I don't like
word
that
to me,
But
syntax.
syntax exists all over the world.
No, I get
all I know
I
about
get
is
the
syntax
idea.
error.
Yeah, I get the idea, but I don't.
What are we going to call
labeling?
it? Can we call it a pleasure tax then? Is that different?
Well, that's fine.
Pleasure
Yeah.
happens to be sin consumption.
Well, if you call it that. But anyhow, let's get it started. We can get into all of that.
It's great.
Okay, boss.
And I could pay my $500 a year if I like smoking marijuana, and I could possess my marijuana. And the dude that sells me marijuana, he pays $5,000 a year to be able to possess that amount. And now he can possess up to 10 pounds at a time. I can possess up to 1 pound at a time. The world is a great place.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, let's
boy.
kick it off. All right, welcome back to this special edition of the Under the Rug podcast. You know, normally we broadcast live on Thursdays, but today is Sunday. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for being here. But I felt the need to have this show because elections are on Wednesday. And I think I have a slew of shows coming up. And I really wanted to squeeze one in to give independents some shine. Because normally in general elections in the Bahamas, independents kind of get pushed to the side and not taken seriously. So I just wanted to have a show where we speak with independent candidates and talk about issues and get their perspective about the elections and what they plan to do if they are elected. So we are here Sunday. We have Terneille Burrows, who's been here before.
We're so special, so special, so special. Independent special.
You're doing one for the junglers.
No,
So we got Terneille Burrows, and we also have Leyvon Miller, who has been here many times. I don't lose count how much times he's been here, but he's back, and they are independent candidates. Terneille Burrows for the Elizabeth constituency, and Leyvon Miller III for the South Beach constituency. Now, are you guys nervous yet? 2 more days, almost here. It's the big day is on Wednesday. How are you guys feeling? Let me get, first of all, how you feeling about your chances and how things have been going during the campaign thus far. Terneille?
I feel excellent. I just like to shout out all my constituents who actually, well, I call them my constituents. Well, they're my fellow constituents now that I moved back into the constituency since I was a baby. You designed the logo. I don't have it on now, but you designed the logo, the Burrows for Elizabeth logo. That was the first contribution we had to the campaign, and
Yes, ma'am.
worked on the website. I just want to say thank you.
No problem.
We just had someone donate use of a campaign headquarters a couple of weeks ago.
Awesome.
We had someone from the constituency, Lolita Bethel, join the core team, and she's been thugging it out with us along with Maureen Catalano. We've had people like Marcus Evans who have helped to start, and Sheila Pritchard, Smart East organization.
Smart East?
Smart East is an organization, formed from these constituents who I was able to put together. They said, hey, let's come together and start our own thing. So hopefully they could get a good momentum with that and continue to do more work. They've been doing work with the children's home and things like that.
Okay.
So I've already won the activism galvanization of people to volunteer and participate portion to some extent, because we had a few people who've done that already. So now the big bang would be getting the confidence to have people vote for me, so we can then take it to another level in terms of participation, have a budget to work with from, the government, and really get some, not just community level growth and support and stuff like that happening, but affect the national scheme of things when it comes to anti-corruption reform as a first order of business.
Okay. Mr. Miller. Hello. South Beach.
Well,
now you got a heavy hit out there too. How are things? What's the climate like in the South Beach area? What have people been saying to you? How has the campaign been going for you thus far?
Well, it's been a steady campaign. We have started about 7 months ago now. And we've been actively doing what we've been told is the conventional method, and that's to go to as many doors as possible. But not just to go to doors, but when we get to doors, to find out from people what are their general concerns in and around the constituency, which for us is kind of a benefit, because I am a resident there, and I've been one for 27 years. And so when people say things to me, I'm able to address in specific detail what exactly their problem is, because either I've driven past it on my way home or had to drive past it on my way from home. And so that provides a level of comfort for people that I don't think we've had in about 20 years. I think Mike Smith may have been the last person that lived anywhere remotely close to South Beach. outside of that, you know, everything else has been pretty steady. We've had a pretty decent social media presence. We've done a bit of volunteerism in and around the Nurse Naomi and Christie Center in Jasmine Gardens. We were able to pull off both a blood drive in December and a registration drive because blood donation has become one of those things that's kind of my thing.
Okay.
I've been doing it now for 10 years. I do it 7 times a year.
Wow.
And I've been doing it now for 10 years.
Wow.
And we've also got started with a fitness program in South Beach because, you know, I believe that healthy people don't need prescription and they don't need national health insurance. So national health insurance will be a great cradle, but if we have a group of people that are in good physical shape, then I think that, you know, it'll be less of a burden on the purse of the actual government.
Prevention better than cure.
And so we've been working with those things. I've had a steady number, anywhere between about 30 people on any given day that will come out and would actually support it. We started calling it "Come Run with Your Candidate," and that was
now you're doing the actual running.
Yeah, no. I was actually out there running. Out there running, and the concept came from the fact that, you know, I was living in South Beach, so to hear everybody else was, you know, running in South Beach, I felt like I, you know, wasn't doing enough. So I went and I physically ran.
Okay.
And I invited people to come along with me, and I've had any number of people, whether it's Miss Thurston or Tasha or Tammy or any one of those people that came out or that come out in the morning times at 4:30 that have said to me, you know, that they've seen transformations in their own lives. Their pants fit different, their dress fit different. When they go to work, people ask them, are they working out? And they have this new sense of appreciation for what it is their bodies can do. And I've had great assistance from some of my colleagues, namely Mr. Roll and Mr. Ferguson, that have reached out and actually volunteered their time, which was great. And then I've had people that have been walking door to door with me. I've tried to always only carry a skeleton crew because I've come to realize that, particularly in the community.
By skeleton crew, you mean a small amount of persons?
Small amount of people.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to always remember to leave my military lingo.
Yeah. You got to speak in our language.
Yeah. I usually go with a small number of people because I've come to find that in the South Beach constituency, people were becoming labored with this idea of, you know, 35 people knocking at your door, and none of those people being the candidate.
Okay, I get it. Because I was going to, but it's never that much though. It's normally it seems to be.
You haven't seen what I've seen.
Well, what I've seen is they usually there's a big crew, and then they deploy. Let's say 3 or 4 would take houses
right, but if they're through, let's just say they're through the same corner, right? Because South Beach has a lot of fingers, right? So let's just say you got 35 people walking through your finger. When you open your door, all you see is 35 yellow shirts walking up and down. You know, it kind of gives people. I actually had one woman that said that she thought she was about to be pummeled by an angry mob. There was just so many people walking up the street. She kind of got nervous.
Wow.
And so I took that advice. And so what you will notice is that most times that I go to people's door, it's me and a writer, or me, a writer, and somebody to take pictures. And I've also found that having people or stumbling across pictures of me doing what it is that I do is usually more authentic. It usually has a more organic feel than for somebody to be walking around behind me saying, "Hold on, wait, let's pause right there, take this picture."
Of course, right.
Well, we tried doing that with my campaign, like sending people ahead or having them go out and see if they were receptive to just having a spokesperson at their door. And we found predominantly people wanted to see me as the candidate.
They wanted to see the candidate.
They don't want to say, hey, here's a card, check out the website only.
Right.
And I personally would have preferred to just make that initial introduction in any event. Even though we took our time and it took, you know, a year or so, I was able to meet anybody that was home when we went to their door. Thank goodness Ted was just, he pushed me too, because some weeks I was like, man, I too tan. I'm tired of too much sun, and
I've actually
take a break today.
I've actually physically walked through 2 pairs of shoes.
Wow.
Physically walked through, and here's the thing: I have a stressed tendon in my right foot. Right, it's quite a doozy. Let me tell you. Some nights I go home and I'm like,
Epsom salt.
Is this really what I want to sign up for?
Yeah.
But let me tell you a little bit about why it was I did what I did without any remorse, and that's because I in fact waited on a candidate.
That's right, because
I
they
waited.
did send
I wanted
them
a candidate.
very late in your area.
And they sent Howard Johnson originally, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's laughable when I hear people say, oh my God, he's a PLP, right? Because when Howard Johnson was named as the candidate, instantly I engaged him and I told him, well, hey, I've been here a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There are any number of plans that I've been working on in my own mind
Mm-hmm.
that I would be happy to just give you.
Right.
That's interesting.
And if you're able to make it happen, because I understand.
So you would have supported him if he had
Absolutely.
still been the candidate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I understand one thing about government. Government is about lobbying.
Mm-hmm.
And where I am as a regular citizen, my lobby does nothing for the people of South Beach. But if I can find a member of parliament that I can lobby through, that now provides the kind of relief that I believe the plans that I have for South Beach will, in fact, deliver to the people of South Beach. And we worked together harmoniously. We spoke very often. We would get on the phone. And then Howard had to vacate his candidacy for reasons that I respect. I was close enough to the matter to understand his position. And in the same position, it wouldn't be a second thought in my mind. He lost no respect from me for his decision. But then they waited 8 months. And South Beach has been the bellwether of the Bahamas. There has been no government in 35 years that has come to power void of South Beach. And so the FNM didn't send me a candidate until I think it was the 17th of November. The DNA sent me a candidate, I think, the 24th of March.
Oh, wow.
And the PLP sent me a candidate, I think it was the second week in November as well, right before the FNM. And for me, that wasn't good enough.
And when did you decide that you were going to run?
October 30th is when I announced.
October 30th.
That was actually my father's birthday. I lost my dad last year. And I was in Cuba just trying to have a hiatus and really escape because I had recently left my job 2 years earlier, started a small business. My dad was my operations manager, which all of the things that I told you I had to do today, my dad did. I was just logistics and finance. And without any warning, he drops down dead. And then I, have to absorb all the roles that he did because I have a fairly young mother.
So why?
Sorry to hear that.
And knowing all of this and knowing what it takes to get into politics, like, did you have any second thoughts, knowing how much politics can take a toll on you, knowing you have to take on all this extra stuff, and then now to take on more running for office?
That was why I struggled with announcing. Here's the thing. Howard vacated in March. I said, if they don't not name somebody by August, I may give it some consideration. August came, I didn't squeeze the trigger. I said, no. I understand that my mom is a stay-at-home wife, which means she's not going to go to work, which means that I have to generate enough money to take care of both she and I. But that's the comfort my dad permitted her, and I have an obligation as his eldest son to live to that. And so I was like, I just had a son. My little boy wasn't even 2 yet, and I've got this young company. But the call came, and I couldn't help it. Like, they didn't send me anybody.
So if Jeff Lloyd had been ratified by the FNM in enough time, you would have supported him?
If Jeff Lloyd had ratified by the FNM in enough time, I would have possibly taken a look at that.
Okay. Well, Terneille, and that's a good segue. What made you decide to run as an independent in the Elizabeth constituency? Because for him, it was nobody else was there. He felt that he needed to step to the plate. When did you decide, and what was your reasoning for deciding to do so?
I don't think there was any one singular moment. It's just been throughout the years as an activist appealing to parliamentarians' sensibility to push issues related to child protection, the Marcos Law and Alert, and the Sex Offenders Registry and things like that, which predominantly fell on deaf ears, I felt. So I did enough research and did due diligence and explored the possibility of trying to have some sort of in with the governing party, tried to communicate with the Minister of National Security and set meetings and things like that. Then I also, related to anti-corruption reform, engaged the leader of the opposition, knowing that he had the power in his capacity as the leader of the opposition to actually call for prosecutions for failure of members of parliament to disclose. So throughout the years or months and time that it took to really realize that these people have no interest in disrupting what they hold as the political elite class. And after the person that I voted for in Tall Pines in 2012 decided that he thought it was okay to say he could beat a woman in parliament, then I decided, nothing can get done well unless you do it yourself.
Yep.
I can't really put my faith, hope, trust, allegiance, alliance in any party or in any candidate outside of myself unless it's someone who I know, intimately in the sense of knowing their heart. So I decided to offer myself and ask someone who I trust where they thought I should run, because I've lived in 7 constituencies, including Elizabeth. So they asked me to run in their constituency. So I thought that was a good sign of possible support, and they made a case, and that's why I did it.
And around what time frame was this?
Well, I decided to run probably maybe 6 months, a year before I actually announced. I announced candidacy in November 2015. So that's when we began really in earnest doing a lot of the work towards canvassing, meeting people, trying to engage external agencies to, impact the constituency and donate. So during the hurricane in particular, that was when we had an opportunity really to get out there and prove our capacity to organize.
Which hurricane?
Hurricane Matthew. So, in the wake of that, before it happened, I kept kind of close watch because I knew the constituency was my main concern in terms of them being right on the border. And so when the Prime Minister made this announcement that there was an evacuation notice, I noticed he didn't say mandatory. So we found this post on Forward, Onward, or some website like that had a map showing the eastern coastline where people should evacuate based on the projected surges.
Right up the road from me.
So I spent some money, posted that on Facebook, expressed the urgency, outlined all of the different areas in the constituency, Yamacraw, Cool Acres, Elizabeth, whoever it was that it was applicable to with the coastline, and 60,000 Bahamians saw that post.
Wow. That's a lot.
60,000 Bahamians saw the post. And then people tagged and shared, and word of mouth also grew once they knew. So a lot of people who I ended up communicating with during the storm and after the storm told me, oh, I saw the post or heard about it from Facebook. So I realized then that this capacity that we seek to hold isn't a joke. This can affect real human beings' lives.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually disgusted that people are talking about me running as an independent is a problem.
We're going to get into that.
Let's get into that.
Yeah, we can get into that because because what I've been hearing, and I hate it as well, and it upsets me when I hear people just delegitimize or cast to the side independents or third parties because they've already become accustomed to this two-party gang system that we've been, electing for 40, 50 years. So how has that affected you? Hearing this dialogue, when you hear people refer to you as though you don't matter, or they laugh at you. And I know you have a personal, well, I don't know if I want to call this person your friend, but there's someone that makes fun of you on a regular basis and with your candidacy because they don't take independence seriously.
Delegitimization is only a matter of what it is you choose to believe. Let me say that, sadly, I hadn't announced my candidacy before the storm. Luckily, I live in the community of South Beach, and so I rode out the entire 22 days of absolute ruins with the people of South Beach when the floodwaters were too high.
Now, hold on now. Why would you decide to do that?
To do what?
To ride out a storm.
I didn't ride the storm out in South Beach, but as soon as there was an all clear, I came back to South Beach.
Okay, I thought you said that you rode it out with the people of South Beach.
I rode out the aftermath of the storm.
Oh, okay, well, I thought
the 22 days with no light and no water and that, I rode that out.
Okay, the aftermath. Okay,
right, and so immediately as the all clear was given, I kind of moved back into South Beach. And it was a tough decision for me to decide to leave my home because, I live in one of the original houses in South Beach, and I'm kind of in the belly of South Beach. That coastal area that they talked about is about 1.5 miles away from where I live. And so even with a sea surge, I think I would have fared pretty okay, and we did. It compared to the people that are on that actual back street and even all the way up to Some Haven. But I came back to South Beach shortly after the storm, and you asked the question if Jeff Lloyd had been ratified before my candidacy announcement, would I have considered? I would have, but then there would be a number of reasons why I wouldn't have as well. And so Because I never like to operate in a vacuum, right? I like to always put all the facts that I have on the table and then make a decision based on that. And I probably would have ended with the same result that I am at now, which is an independent candidacy. But when I noticed that it seemed like a deliberate attempt by the political parties to not engage a candidate because of the condition of South Beach, I said to myself that these people care more about party than they do about people. See, they understood that to drop a candidate in the middle of South Beach, in the middle of this mayhem, is going to cause pandemonium for the party. And the party is going to have to start coming out of pocket. And people are going to start needing assistance. And people are going to want help. And the fact that they, in my estimation, very, very methodically thought about that and opted not to send us candidates made me concerned about whether or not we cared about the people.
I don't like speculation.
By my estimation.
Okay.
But let's
made me concerned. Because they had said that they would send us our candidates by the 15th of October. Granted, the storm came on the 9th. But let's think about the fact that South Beach has been one of the constituencies that has never sat in opposition. And if there was anyone or anywhere that there should have or could have been a candidate, or all candidates ratified, it should have been South Beach.
Oh, well, we already, okay, we get that they send candidates too late. Let's get to your feelings
the delegitimization of my candidacy.
On how the public feels about independent
I had that whole
candidates.
ramble on just now to say that we can check the record. Since the storm, there's been a candidate that's been there, that's been a part of the cleanup effort, that's been a part of the chlorination efforts in and around South Beach to assist people with underwater wells, because I understand as a resident of South Beach how much of us are well water users. And I understood, based on some research that I did, that when the cleanup efforts are as retarded as they were, what you find is you start to have what they call cataclysmic disease outbreaks, where the water underneath the ground becomes polluted. People like me with well water starts to use it, and now we've got people with all sorts of wonderful magical diseases that you can't figure out where they got them from, because you have debris that's seeping into the water table. And so when I checked around to see what was the best possible means to treat this, the answer that I got from all of my sources was chlorination and filtration. Well, that wasn't a very difficult thing to do. People just needed access to the chlorine. And so we got on the ground and started distributing the chlorine tablets and had them go along with the people in their filtration systems. I saw no other candidate. And then it was a matter of cleanup campaigns. Well, how do we assist the government that, again, has a apparently retarded approach to cleaning up our community? And so we got dumpsters on the ground and got people involved in getting the community cleaned up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we did those things without seeing any other candidate. And so the question becomes, do you want a candidate that's functioning? Or do you want a candidate that has on a colored t-shirt that you can identify? Because if we're talking about a candidate that was in the trench working, then we can talk about the person who, before a candidacy was announced, at the time I was only a concerned resident, because I still was stenching the call.
But do we have enough people that are concerned with the major issues as opposed to the party politics, the colors?
I don't think so.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to get at. Because,
I don't think so.
Because you've just laid out a whole bunch of work that you did, right? But there are still people that means nothing to. And
I find I find that every day. There's a particular person on Facebook that I don't know. Maybe he sets his alarm by me or something, but I can't make a single utterance before he comes pioneering his way in to basically stamp down my candidacy. And the truth of the matter is, you are asking me to vote for someone that I didn't see. You are asking me to vote for someone that has not been involved in my community any at all in the 20 years that I was there. You are asking me to vote for somebody, or asking me to
but that's what people want.
You are asking me to alleviate my candidacy, to remove myself. Solely because this guy has on a purple shirt. And for me, that isn't enough. And if I'm not hog-headed. If I saw a candidate that I thought in my heart of hearts that I could support this person, man or woman, and feel confident within myself that unlike the candidates before him, unlike the members of parliament before her, this person would come into my community, and as a result of them being there, I would begin to see the ease of life for residents of South Beach improve, I would vacate my candidacy. I would have vacated my candidacy a long time ago. This money has been coming out of my personal coffers, you know. All of the flyers and billboards.
Oh, you got plenty money, man.
Well, how much ever it is, it's been dipped out of one well.
Right.
And so for me, it is a matter of providing the kind of constituency service that I expected when I was just a constituent. And if the fact that I don't have political machinery behind me is your reason for not voting for me, then I have to question your ability to assess who I am and who they are.
Terneille.
Yes, sir.
Now, you was about to run what just now?
I'm all right.
She's
now.
calm now. I watch her.
You was about to run out. Tell us what was it that got that, you know, all that emotion and that rage and that passion up in you? What really set that off for you?
The people of Elizabeth, those who have been in touch with or impacted or come in contact with, they already know. So it's now up to them to decide. So outside observers, I think, have their place, but it's not to the extent where I'm going to take you seriously for not taking me seriously because you don't know, you haven't felt, you haven't been there. I'm going to be quite frank and say we haven't had a legitimate independent candidate win a seat in a very long time in recent history. The last independent that ran in Elizabeth, as far as I recall, got 16 votes. That won't be happening in this instance by any means, but we're dealing with realities here, so we have to understand what we're working with. I understand that it's difficult for people to stomach that someone can have the audacity to not be associated with a party but still decide to offer themselves and do it in a very sophisticated manner without having hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend. That could hurt your feelings a little bit. If your feelings hurt, keep it to yourself because I'm not going to engage to any large extent to defend my position because, like I say, unless you have been a constituent, you wouldn't really know. Those constituents who I haven't been able to see or meet or reach, some of them I've been able to hear from through Facebook saying, hey, I wasn't able to see you. There are a lot of different methods. Don't be shy. Feel free to reach out to me if you're in Elizabeth. That's comprised of quite a few areas. Pine Barren Road, part of Prince Charles, Sandilands Village Road, one part of it, Cool Acres, Hannah Road, Fodder Lane is one from Yamacraw. All of Yamacraw is in Elizabeth. Don't ask me how they put the wording on that.
Boy,
all of Yamacraw is Elizabeth. St. Andrews Beach Estates, Fleming Avenue,
St. Andrews?
Yamacraw Close. Wow. All of these and more are part of the constituency. So let me just put this appeal out there now. If you know someone, or you know someone that might know someone, ask them if they know about their independent female candidate in Elizabeth called Terneille, a.k.a. Terneille Burrows. And if they don't, they can check out burrowsforelizabeth.com. They could look in tomorrow's Tribune newspaper, or they can ask someone who might have come in contact with me what they think about the work that we've been doing together. And that's the key. It's not about me. I'm not trying to be famous. I've already been famous. That don't get you rich in the Bahamas. It's about finding a way to galvanize a power and an energy in our people. My people. Y'all is my people, you know, all of y'all, not just Elizabeth.
Right.
But we haven't found a way to harness that energy and direct it towards what we need it to be directed towards. I can't sit back and allow children to suffer the same fate that I might have in terms of abuse by my father's youngest uncle when I was molested as a 5-year-old. I'm not going to sit back and say, you know what? That could happen for the next 50 years when I'm dead, whatever, it's okay. No, I'm going to sit up and stand up and do something about it. We've protested, we've appealed to the government, we've tried to get Marco's Law enforced, we've tried to work with the Crisis Center to ensure that a lot of other issues and legislation and protocols are in place. That is not a priority for this government. It's a priority for me. But in order to get anything, child protection, economic advancement, educational reform, y'all got to be crazy if y'all think y'all going to be asking this FNM, PLP, or any government to do that without having measures in place to hold them accountable. We have figured out which measures exist and what we need to also introduce to ensure anti-corruption reform in this country. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, any party or member of parliament, if I am in there, that decides to vote against these bills once introduced, we have to be the ones to push them, to pressure them. It can't be us sitting back any longer and saying, well, that must be just the way it is, eh? You getting VAT on you, you know. You getting bad service on you, you know. Tourists come here and they living like they lodge. But we can't treat each other properly. So so much has to change. I don't want to change the whole thing right now. I want to start with some fundamental things because the parties are not telling you how much up the creek we are.
Interesting. Now, what do you say to those people? And I hear it all the time. I hate hearing it. That criticize you, not just you, but if you're not a member of PLP FNM, that criticize you for saying, listen, y'all only going to split the vote. Y'all wasting y'all time. Why y'all don't just join up with this party or this big party? Because y'all only can split the vote. Because I've heard people, they'll recognize that you may be the best candidate for to represent them, right? But they would say, but she ain't gonna win, or he ain't gonna win. Well, how do you feel about people that like they seem like they want to pick a winner? Which is the most ridiculous concept to me ever.
They have no empirical data, and I don't argue things that you cannot empirically show me, right? So unless you have some, and I'm not talking about some statistical data. I'm not talking about your probabilities. I'm talking about unless you have some hard fact that says that as an independent candidate, there's no way for me to win. Your point is moot, and we can move beyond it, right? But I ask those very same people when they ask me, well, the question that I more commonly get is, what can an independent candidate do? Well, an independent candidate gave us 1967. Could you imagine had an independent candidate not existed? The reason I like to lean toward the independent candidate over the third party candidate is because we've always mentioned Randall Fox. What we have somehow managed to cut from history is the fact that Alvin Brennan was a white man and that we were living in a time of white supremacy. It would have been easiest for him to matriculate back to that side, hence allowing us to have to go to another election that may have outcome as the PLP not being the government, because voter confidence in the PLP definitely would not have been what it was because they weren't able to win one time around. And so we got 67 because of an independent. But let's go a little further, right? Because you say 67 is our grandparents' history. Well, let's go to 87, right? And I hear people say, oh, well, they were given conditional seats where the PLP or the FNM didn't contest them. Well, that's fantastic. But could you imagine had North Abaco not elected an independent candidate in 1987? All of the very fanatical FNM Ingram supporters that are willing to bathe themselves in the ambience that is Hubert Ingram, none of that would have existed. All of the fanfare and the flutter around who Hubert Ingram is, all of this paparism would not have existed. I made that word up, right? It would not have existed because Hubert Ingram would have possibly faded into the political wilderness, as do many people that lose in the Bahamas.
But was Hubert a true independent, though?
Here's the thing: was he an independent? What was on his ballot? An independent candidate.
Well, yeah, but
you're saying to me that if any one of the major parties had made an accommodation for me, that would make me less of an independent?
No, I think the difficulty is Hubert Ingram, was deep in the PLP.
He was a PLP.
Didn't like what he wanted. He was elected as a PLP prior to that. So he held office before, had a degree of popularity, familiarity with the people. And so some would argue that he wasn't a true independent, just like...
Well, as is the case for me. Everyone that knows me knows my politics.
Hold on, let me finish. Yeah, I can tell you why. Yeah, just like we probably wouldn't consider Loretta to be a independent right now.
A thoroughbred independent.
Or what's the guy? Tennyson Wells, when he won as an independent.
Vincent Pete.
He wasn't one because he was an FNM that was in before. So I think the difficulty that some people have is that you have never been associated with a major party. I think they are more willing to give those independents a chance that came from a major party.
The hybrid independent.
Yeah, would like you said, on the ballot they're an independent.
Right.
But they probably would just, they left a party because they didn't like something.
Right,
what I'm saying though, Greg.
So I think people are more willing to give
absolutely.
those independents a chance.
That's understandable. They have a history, a track record. They know exactly what these people dealing with per se. So I understand that we have to be realistic with the psyche of the people that we're dealing with and the conditioning that we've had over all these decades. We also have to evaluate where were we 5 years ago? What type of temperament did we have? What type of criticism did we have? Because I can guarantee you, I would place a bet on anybody that in 2.5 years, we're gonna be
Right back.
disillusioned. Like, what
Right
the
back.
heck did we do?
But-
Yeah, it's a cycle.
But Greg-
it's a never-ending cycle.
What's going to change? Listen, if we don't get a third party elected into parliament or an independent, nothing about the system is going to change a lick.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
Nothing.
I agree.
They're not going to feel agitated. They're going to actually, this is going to embolden them even more.
But let me ask you this: do you think people really want change, though? This is the question.
That is the million-dollar
because
question.
we hear people say it all the time, but their actions show
I've
differently.
come to find that people like their own personal level of consistency, and so we want change as long as it doesn't change anything around me. You know, that's kind of what I find.
Which doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But that's kind
I
of
want
the way
things
it
to
is.
be the same, but I want them to change.
Just right in this vacuum. I want everything else around me to change except for this little vacuum. But I'm saying to you, here is the thing. The thing is, I think the Bahamian people have a wonderful opportunity to slap around. First of all, they have a third party, right? Then they have very competent and capable independents. As a matter of fact, I look at myself, when I think about the fact that I'm an independent candidate in a time when people like Terneille Burrows and Loretta Butler Turner are independents, I think of myself as possibly the lesser of the independents when I'm compared to these people, right? And I still think of myself as being very qualified. And so I'm saying that it's not like you have a bunch of hocus pocus people that are running around just trying to be or trying to get notoriety. You have people that have said, listen, if I'm going to live in this country, I need it to work. I need this country to function, and I need some things to make sense. People like maybe Terneille and Miss Butler Turner, those can say, well, you know, I have to look out for my children. But I'm a very young man. 43 years from the day I intend to still be right here.
Hold on. You just lumped me in with Loretta Butler Turner based on age?
Well, not
What the hell?
well.
Look
40,
here, boy. I am your elder, but not by that much.
Okay, well, 43 years from the day I anticipate that I will be right here. I have a grandfather that's 81 and strong.
You ain't going nowhere.
Right, 43 years from the
Yeah.
day I should be in tip-top shape.
Uh-huh.
And so I've got to build a country that I can live in.
Right.
Like, I love my son to death. Sure, I want him to have a great country to live in. Great. But hey, when I'm an old man, I want to live in a country where they're not burdening me to death with VAT taxes. I want to live in a country where to get to your studio doesn't take me 5 additional minutes as I meander through all of these, I mean, almost a puzzle of holes and trenches in the road. I want to live in a country where either NHI exists or doesn't exist.
Well, you do, but what does the population want? What do the masses want?
I've found, though, that these people all want the very same thing. Here is the difficulty. They have been, and I don't want to use the word brainwash, but they have been conditioned to
You can
believe-
use it if that's what it is.
They have been conditioned to believe that there is only one way to achieve that, and that is by going red or yellow.
Yes, and that's the problem.
Our people have been conditioned to accept the least from our parliamentarians
Yep.
and our government. They say, oh, well, at least they this, or oh, well, at least we ain't as bad as Venezuela or Jamaica. Oh, well, at least. That's what y'all into? I ain't into that. I into like being a winner in the sense of I could just feel good about my country, who I am, where I'm from, and be proud. I don't have a government and haven't had a government for a long time that I could be proud of because first of all, I don't even know what they're doing half the time. There's no major transparency and there's a big, blatant lack of accountability. Anybody in this country, whether you literate, illiterate, a child or adult should want accountability in a government that you can hold accountable.
Right.
I'm not going to accept that Bahamians ain't ready for change. Bahamians, whether you're ready and not too bad, we need to be making it happen. And those who are thinkers and leaders and activists and can push, find some way to use your influence to convince people through public awareness building, through town hall meetings or discussions or some forums like this. Let the Bahamian people know that we deserve better. We deserve better governance. We deserve better management of our funds. We deserve better management of our resources. We deserve better management of our departments of ministries. Look here, stop playing around. And I mean, people are going away. That's how I know this is real. People are leaving the country and
Yes.
saying, I am done. I am
Yep.
fed up. The cost of living is astronomical. I can't see my child living here in peace. Crime is a problem. I've had my car windows knocked in twice in the past decade. That's too much.
Well, shoot, I had mine do twice in one weekend.
I've had a relative who was held up at gunpoint twice, different times. And y'all think this is the country that we're supposed to be having here right now? And we should just sit back and say, oh, well, let's just let those two parties play this game again.
And that's
Not
the
me,
thing.
buddy. I don't know about the rest of the world or the rest of the country, but Elizabeth has a chance to make a decision. So like I said, tell a friend, ask a friend. We ain't into playing this lap. We could do our darndest within that constituency to make it the best little constituency possible and have the most effect that we can on Parliament and things that matter to us the most, so that we could eventually change the system and weed out some of these people who in there just to play games. I don't need y'all in Parliament to entertain me. I already told y'all while I'm doing this. Children are dying and hurting and getting abused in this country. That's one issue that's dear to my heart, but I will do whatever it takes, even if it means putting that on hold until we could deal with anti-corruption to make that possible. I don't have time to play.
Wow. But you know what it is, right? I often say I think we suffer from Stockholm Syndrome, where we have now gotten to the point where we've fallen in love with our abusers.
Wow.
Anytime I see, and I can tell you all now, I judge you. When I see you all flying 50 PLP flags on your car or F&M flags, I judge you, buddy. Because there is no way you could want better for this country, and you are still riding for the very two parties that have gotten us to this point. And Bahamians forget so quickly. So quickly. We just rolled the F&M out 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Just last election.
How were you feeling then?
Just last election, right?
What was on your heart?
Yeah, and it goes to what you just said, right? And now when I hear the conversations, I hear people saying, oh, we got to get the PLP out. We got to get and put back the people you just moved because you was tired of them doing the very same things you tired of this government doing. Like, it makes no sense. It seems we just keep recycling the same set of people, same set of ideas, and I feel like we've become too comfortable with something, and we are afraid to change. We are afraid of the unknown. So it's like when you're in a relationship, this person has beat you bad, but you know what you're getting. And they would accept abuse over the unknown, unfortunately.
One of the things that I've said time and time again during this whole run as an independent was, for a long time, I think we've whitewashed or bleached away, if you will, the major accomplishments that were made by independent candidates. I mean, granted, they were very oppressive, right? But a lot of what our downtown city area looks like had something to do with independent candidates coming and putting in the infrastructure and putting in the systems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Tourism was an idea by Stafford Sands that used to be an independent candidate at one point. And so a lot of the things that we see in place that still function happened under independent candidates. Now, we created party politics because those independents became oppressive. And so we said that as a grouping of people, we needed to come together and form a party to be able to, one, match them financially, two, match them on a national scale, et cetera, and be able to compete on a real level, to get rid of the oppression. We have traded racist oppression, though, in the past 50 years with classist suppression, which is opposite but very equal. And so now we have these two major parties, right, that says, Terneille? I mean, she's broke. Why would you vote for her? She can't put up posters.
Yeah.
Did she have a rally? How many people came? You're trying to tell me she didn't have a rally?
Yeah.
But she wants to be in the parliament.
And that kills me with the crowd.
And having a rally doesn't make me a terrible or great member of parliament. And so the thing I'm trying to get people to understand is maybe parties have outlived their shelf life. Maybe they came for a generation, which would have been 40 years. And now the frustration we feel is because parties do what they do at an organizational level. And as most big businesses, small people are never factored in. Big businesses exist for profit. And anything outside of profit doesn't matter to them. And so those things get swallowed up, and they never really pay any real attention to them, and they consider them as casualties. So the fact that you have an outside toilet is a casualty. The fact that I just had to meander my way here is a casualty. Light goes off once a week, great, that's a casualty. At the end of the day, I get to be prime minister, collect my prime minister's pension. This guy over here is going to be cabinet minister. He'll get a cabinet minister's pension in a couple of days as well. And all of us will live great. We'll buy yachts, we'll build houses on the Millionaire Row, and you all will just be considered as casualties. And I think,
very well said.
Yes.
I think the way to get people politics back is to begin to find people that live among you that have the fervor and the kind of wherewithal it takes to go in the parliament and be exactly what it is that you have at your own house, which is a surveillance system. Something to watch these people. Something, or someone rather, to say, hey, $1.14 billion.
Hold up.
You say,
wait a minute.
You say you could count for every dollar, right? But now you come back and say 181 million you can't find. So let's
up
don't
with that?
worry about the 1.14 billion for right now. Let's pause that. Where this 191 million is. Let's not have another conversation until we finish talking about the 100. And so I say to constituents when I'm on the ground, if you value your house enough to monitor it, the House of Assembly is your house. All you need to do now is put in place a monitoring system. Send me. So when they decide that we're going to pass legislation like VAT, and we're going to ramp it up a little bit to 15% because $1.14 billion wasn't enough for us the first time, and so now we want $2.28 billion to spend. I can say, hold on, time out. Let's stop right there. The people of South Beach say they have a problem with this. And I'm not subject to a party whip. And I'm not in the cabinet, so I do not speak as a what do they call it? With what cabinet? What is cabinet?
That
today?
privacy thing?
No. They say cabinet speaks with one voice.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't know.
I have 3,938 voices that I speak with. And those are the people that sent me to the parliament to speak on their behalf, to tell the prime minister that, listen, I know you and your cabinet didn't have this to talk about over there, but let me tell you something. The people in South Beach say they can't afford no more 15% VAT.
And you still got the constituency $100,000 improvements budget.
Precisely. To upgrade the community that I live in. And here's the kicker for the people that live in South Beach, right? When I fix the flooding in South Beach, you are assured that it's something that I'm actually going to fix correctly, because when South Beach floods, house number 56 floods first. So I need this flooding to be fixed. Unlike the person that can say, oh, we're going to take a look at that, we're going to put it on the drawing table, and we're going to get back to you. No!
Water coming in your
56 South Beach Drive floods.
You know it.
And I need to stop that from flooding.
Yes.
Which means 58 can't flood no more, 59 can't flood no more, 62 can't flood no more, 61 can't flood no more. And so you end up with a better life, because I'm fixing a community for us to live in together.
So I think that says that you both support that the candidate or the MP should actually live in the constituency with which they represent.
Ideally, I think so. And I was born in the constituency of Elizabeth once they cut the boundaries, but I decided and had said early in my candidacy that I would move there once the boundaries were cut, so I wouldn't move there and it'd still not be in the constituency. So yeah, I did that, and I think it's if it's in every instance, it's not practical. You know, but I'm just saying, ideally, if possible, sure. And I just wanted to say that, you know, in Parliament, we're going to have that voice that Leyvon mentioned that's absolutely unencumbered. We don't have any party whip on us, like he was saying. I really would like to see, not me doing all of the work, which I've said over and time again to constituents. I'm asking you to make a commitment as well. When you decide to vote for me, you're actually making a commitment that either, one, we can train you as activists, so when I'm in Parliament Square, you can be in Rawson Square if we need you. Two, you're going to, if you're not interested in that, you could learn to be a volunteer. There are many social development agencies. You can use your circle of influence. If you use Facebook, you could commit, hey, an hour a week, we're going to push different initiatives or programs or posts. Everybody can get involved, from the child right down to the elderly person, right down to the person with disabilities, because there are a lot of different low-hanging fruits that we can tackle in the constituency systematically. And I think in Parliament it's going to be a unique opportunity, like Leyvon said, to actually have people who are not a part of the system to hold these people to account. The opposition, the majority opposition particularly, has a responsibility to be a good opposition, to use the Public Accounts Committee to the advantage of the people, to ensure that the leader of the opposition actually submits for prosecutions when members of Parliament from both sides fail to disclose. We have seen an absolute failure of an opposition this last administration.
But they so gung-ho to vote for them now.
No,
I don't understand.
no. I'm sick of y'all talking foolishness in my ears. I
And
have to write a rap song, man.
And the new punchline, I understand as well, it's not any of the 9 people that were there the last time. So this is a new slate of people.
But they've been there this time.
Hold on. That is
They've
not
been there
true.
this time.
The leader was there. He was not only there, he was in cabinet.
So was that.
So I don't. That's nonsense. But let me go through a couple of the comments.
We got comments.
Yeah,
That's
and
wonderful.
I think Ted Forbes is actually saying what you just went over. He said the politicians care more about party than the people.
Yeah.
But the people are not much different. The people care more about party than they care about the issues and about themselves, which is very true.
Conditioning.
Yeah. Conditioning. Susan McDowell says, I find the obvious amount of money spent on shirts, posters, etc. very sad. Think of all the food for children that could have paid for.
That's why I didn't get a constituency office 7 months out. I'm not going to give a landlord $1,000 a month to just make her coffers.
It's a lot of wasted money. And as I drive, right, and what sickens me and what shows exactly why we are in the situation we are in fiscally is I look at the posters, right? Many posters put up weeks ago. Flimsy posters that after 2 days is either faded or torn.
Yeah.
So you have to come back with more posters, put them up, so you are buying an abundance of posters to put up, as opposed to spending the money buying posters that are weatherproof, that you can put up properly and that can stay there and that you can take down after the election. So you already show me that you don't spend money wisely. It makes no sense. But Susan says again, they want change until they are offered a payoff. Okay, so some people selling their vote. Remy Duncombe says the people need a breath of fresh air. It's too much of the same ideals and politics. The word politics is the problem. All right, and Susan says, Ms. Burrows,
can I speak to the one with the payoff? I've said to the people of South Beach, right? Let me make this abundantly clear. Politics is about negotiations and lobbies. You can teeter around that as much as you like. It's what politics is. And I've said to the people of South Beach, right? What a magical scenario it would be if we got in a gridlock situation in the House of Assembly where South Beach, for the first time in 35 years, wasn't automatically in the government. And there was automatically no government. And we're in a coalition situation. And South Beach now has the opportunity to make this decision. Could you imagine the amount of pandering and facilitating that these people would be doing to our community? They may put all the drains in one day for us. And we would be happy to have these prizes and trinkets. They may decide that, you remember that bus route that y'all have been agitating for 20 years in South Beach? We want to give that to y'all absolutely right now.
But isn't that sad that it would have to come to that for you to get the results that you desire?
I'm saying to you, though, Greg, I am only interested in one thing. I'm interested in the kind of politics that changed people's seats on the bus. I'm interested in the kind of politics that got women in the poll. I'm interested in the kind of politics that decided that there shouldn't be a black and white bathroom. I'm interested in the kind of politics that decided that people should have education as a right, as a fun. I'm not interested in the kind of politics where you get up and 20,000 people raise pom-poms and shake. No. And so if my lobby gets your Carlton Francis child, 6-year-old child, to school without having him go all the way into downtown, I'm on board. If my lobby gets that water that comes into your front room into a drain and out of your community, I'm on board. If my lobby trains 100 of our sons every year in practical skills that they can use without a degree, that they can take and become not just employees but employers, then I'm on board. And if a party says to me in a gridlock situation that, hey, we kind of need this seat, I say, wonderful. Now I got 938 people I got to go have a conversation with because we need some negs. And based on what they say to me, we'll be back. Could you imagine how magical a scenario it would be to have that kind of a lobby position? So yeah, absolutely. We're all on the take. But everybody has a different value. And even though everything has a price, some things are too expensive to afford. And I happen to be something that is too expensive to afford. My integrity happens to be something that is too expensive to afford. And so if you want to buy me, great. Let's see how that makes the people of South Beach's life any better. And if you can fix that for me, then God be praised.
Interesting. Terry Pinder says she's watching from North Luther. Well, thank you, Terry. We appreciate it. We have Susan comment plenty. Please help the children and the elderly in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We have Remy Duncombe. Remy, that's your real name? Anyhow, Remy Duncombe says, we need outside-the-box initiative thinkers like Ms. Burrows. We need a national debate. Let's hold candidates accountable before the people, answering all the questions. Start in Elizabeth and work your way from there.
Only 2 days left.
You 100%.
2 days left.
So, Terneille, you got one supporter in Remy right there. Ted says, I am afraid we are beyond a national debate. Smart talks, he puts in parentheses. that been going on for decades with very little or no results. We are now at the point where we don't only know what the issues are, we also know the solutions and how to remedy the concerns. All right. And this
Ted
wow.
is my right-hand guy, by the way.
Okay,
With
awesome.
campaign.
Remy says she's
Ted
watching
Forbes?
from Philadelphia.
Oh, that's big.
Awesome. All right, so we got
I
international
feel like I've
people as
arrived.
well.
I feel like I've arrived. You did it for me, Greg.
Please. So we have international. So let's wrap up with talk about how you feel about your chances of being elected. And I don't like to use competitive terms, so I'm not going to say your chances of winning, because I've expressed on numerous occasions that I feel our issue with politics is that we've inserted competition. And competition is the worst thing to put in politics, because it's not supposed to be a competition. We are all supposed to be working together.
But it's supposed to be a
form
competition of ideas. I think that's
not
that's
even.
the thing.
I wouldn't even say it like that. I wouldn't even say a competition of ideas, because in a competition there assumes there's a winner and a loser. We are supposed to be working to make sure that everyone benefits in some way, shape, or form. So there should be no losers. If you're bringing ideas together, then if your idea is better than mine, I don't lose. I win. We all win because we are taking on the better idea. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not a loser if your idea is better than mine. If let's say you're a mechanic, right? Let's say there's an issue with your bus. You're a mechanic.
I'm not a mechanic, but go on.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if you are, you're a mechanic and there's an issue with your bus,
Right.
and a couple of you are working on it, if you have an idea as to how to fix this problem, and somebody else has an idea that can get it done faster and easier, do you lose?
No.
Okay, that's what politics is supposed to be. We are supposed to be bringing our heads together to come up with the best ideas for everyone.
I think we're out of the room with that.
So I don't insert the competitive terms. And I hate when I hear people speak in politics as though it's some kind of basketball game or some kind of sport, because it's not supposed to be. We have turned it into that, and this is why we are in this perpetual cycle of mediocrity, and people keep inserting the wrong people because they ride for their teams. What happened with sport? You watch sports? People who watch sports often pick a team. And what they do is they ride with that team no matter what. There's nothing you can say to them about their team, negative.
You mean like LA Laker fan?
Yeah, any fan that picks a team. And this is what we see in politics with the PLP and the FNM.
But the difference is when it's sports, the observers have nothing to do with the outcome. It's strictly the teamwork and strategy and physical prowess of the players. So if indeed we were to emulate that and we were to base it on the actual track record and all these things of each candidate individually, then I would feel okay with Bahamians looking at it as a sport in that sense. You know what I mean? Because we really are so conditioned to just go along with the status quo, and there is only FNM or PLP. Everybody else go on the side. Like, really? Seriously? I'm not a robot. I always stood out. I always did what I had to do, and I did it well. I don't do things halfway. I didn't do this campaign or candidacy halfway. We only had a very shoestring budget, but everybody pitched in and helped to make it happen. I can't take any of the absolute credit because it wasn't something that I did absolutely on my own. I'm very grateful and thankful for everybody that had a part to play, from my team right down to constituents, right down to outsiders who weren't even in the constituency that donated to make this possible. Bahamians, if you want to see an example of how a community or a constituency or even a neighborhood can work together, Elizabeth has already shown that to you. Okay, so at the end of the day, the naysayer could say whatever they want to say. I'll sing my song, pun intended, because somebody just asked me if, when I lose, if I'll sing at the F&M rally. Yes, if you pay me exactly the same amount that the BEC bribe, take a duck.
And not when you lose, if they elect someone else. So with that, on that note,
I had to be a little petty, LaBelle. Thank you.
I get you. How do you feel about, what's the climate? How do you feel about your chances going into Wednesday coming up? How do you feel?
I feel like miracles still happen, and I also feel like from the moment I wake up, I'm a winner.
There we go.
I'm a winner, and I'll never change. And I don't need the votes to tell me that. So this ain't really about me, like I said, but if we can build from this regardless of the outcome, I feel like that would be an opportunity had, and we can show them better than we can tell them in any event. I don't like talking about predictions or
I hate
how
it
I
as well.
feel, because that don't really matter.
Yeah.
What matters is what the reality is, and what the reality is at this point, we have tons of undecided voters in Elizabeth.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are torn. They having this battle right now between, oh, Lord, I only know the F&M and the PLP. Some of them are like, I know which way I ain't going. But we have 8 options
Yes,
in
and,
Elizabeth.
and I think that's the most we've probably
That's
ever
a-
had
that's
for
a massive- that's a
any
massive race.
constituency. 8 contestants
That's a massive
for the
race.
seat. So,
So I'm going to be real and say it's not a clear-cut slam dunk for any contestant of that seat in Elizabeth, and I'm glad because it means that people would have had to pull up their socks and parties would have had to pull up their socks and have more of a presence than they probably would have because people came out of the woodworks months before the election was called. You know it. I know it. You can't tell me that I should sit down and back aside because they came out of the woodworks months before the election was called when they contesting for a third time. I don't have time to play. Either y'all want somebody serious who will get stuff done, or you want the same old
bar treatment.
same old.
Leyvon,
Well,
South Beach.
I'll say it like this. I go into food stores and I meet people. And then I go into doctors' offices and I meet people. And I go into restaurants and I meet people, and they're all they're all with one message, and that is we believe. We believe that change can come. We believe that something can happen. We believe that it doesn't have to be the way that it is. Wow. We understand that there are challenges, but we believe. And it is that belief that keeps me going. It is that belief that people ask me all the time, how's the campaign going? It's steady. Because if I can get one additional person to believe every day, if I can get one extra person to convince someone else to believe what they believe, then I think that we're on the right path. And I mean, slightly different from Terneille. I'm going in there for the juggler. We intend to win. And unlike you, I like to say the word win, because when I say we are going to win, I mean me and these people that I've lived among. I mean me and these people that have waded through the water. I mean me and these people that have walked 2 miles just to access public transportation. And I believe that they have bought into the concept that, you know something, for the first time in a long time, we've got to send someone that looks like us, sounds like us, feels what we feel, eats where we eat, work where we work, buys the sodas from our 30 days.
Juice, buy juice.
And so that message has kind of solidified the campaign. People have warmed up to that, and they're actually at the point now where they say to themselves, you know something, if I'm going to go on a limb, or if I'm going to take a risk, then at least I have someone that I'm confident enough in taking the risk in. And that for me in itself is a victory. I feel good about that, and I think that will materialize well for us on Wednesday.
Awesome. Well,
It's on reach.
yes, it's
I'm
almost
excited to be
here.
on-
I am very excited.
I am excited as well. It's going to be I think this is going to be the most interesting election since probably 67. This is going to be a major one because of the climate, because of, like you mentioned, the candidates that are contesting. 8 in Elizabeth.
We've got
that's
celebrities like Terneille.
unprecedented.
Terneille
Yes.
is, you know, that
This-
she's internationally known.
I know.
Yeah.
This is incredible. So
And
I'm
no one
excited
else.
as well, and I wish both of you the best.
Thank you.
Wish both of you the best because you both sound like you are there for the people. You are there for the right reasons.
And your logo could be on the ballot.
Yes. Even though I don't like logos on the
Too
ballot.
bad. Too bad. That's right there.
Because I really don't think they should be there because a lot of people just go look for that logo and then scratch
But-
their X there. But, you know, it is what it is.
Before we close, Greg, let me say that just to your point about competitions, right? And what I found politics to be in the Bahamas, politics in the Bahamas has turned into a competition of personalities, right? And so you see the megalomania behind these people, right? You hear Hubert Ingham ascend to the stage and say FNMs and 20,000
FNMs
people go crazy, right?
LP.
I like the concept of there being a competition of ideas because I've said to the people of South Beach time and time again, here are my plans. Now, ask every other candidate that comes to rest their plan on the table. And regardless to whether or not that plan is on a yellow piece of paper or a red piece of paper or a green piece of paper, or if that plan is on a white piece of paper, let's look at the ideas. And the ideas that move your community forward, that's what you vote for, regardless of which color paper it's on. And so I'm always open for a competition. I like shooting scatterbrain ideas out of there. Don't get me. I have a scatterbrain slingshot that as soon as you say something that's scatterbrain to me, pachow!
Well, as someone was asking, how do we feel about debates? I think you both are probably in support of.
I'll take one this evening if
debates.
they got one. They got one this evening?
Unfortunately, I was supposed to be on the UB one, but I had cramps, so I couldn't go.
Okay. Well, so we in support of debates. I'm more in support of actual discussions where we, put forward ideas and, as opposed to debates because debates have turned into competitions.
You would hate me. I have a scatterbrain slingshot. As soon as I hear something that's scatterbrain, I say,
But but they've turned into competitions, and I just feel as though competition has no place in politics. But I think we have a long way to go. Hopefully we get there over time, and like I said, I wish you guys the best.
Thank you.
And I thank you for showing up to have this discussion.
Thank you,
a great
people in
discussion.
media, though. Y'all have been really kind.
Yeah,
I have to really pour out my heart to like radio talk show hosts and you people that have the air of the community, because I'll tell you this, you all have become people's drugs. Like, people depend on your voices, and like for you all to give us platforms to stand on, because 40 years ago, Terneille and I would have been a blur, because we wouldn't have been able to get on ZNS. We definitely wouldn't have been able to get in any one of the newspapers.
Now we can't afford to run ads on any of the traditional media, but thank heavens for these,
talk show
alternate
hosts.
opportunities,
Yes.
and for social media. Lord, if it wasn't
You
for
guys
Facebook.
are magical, and you've done a whole lot towards the campaign that I've been running. And personally, I have to say thank you.
Leyvon clearly doesn't want to leave. I have somewhere to go.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up right now. So again, thank you, and thank you people on Facebook for tuning in live. We appreciate it. And Wednesday is coming. Go there and, vote for the nation. Don't be selfish with your vote. Don't vote because this person do something just for you personally. But, take the nation into consideration and vote for the candidate that you feel would do the most for the country.
Way to go,
so, on that note, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, later.